I'm making this video because I wanted you to know that you're not alone. Today is Labor Day holiday. I spent the day alone at home. It is kind of become the norm for me these days to stay home alone. I never really accepted this until recently, maybe like 2 months ago, because I always thought that even if the old one leave, I could make new friends. It's been a journey to accepting, that's for sure. This doesn't mean that you are unlikable or that you're weird or that something's wrong with you. It really is just life and things happen, and my philosophy is that we just have to figure out a way to course correct and how to fix it. So I know one of the main reasons has to do with life changes over the past few years. I used to be in the nightlife industry. Yes, I was a bottle girl. I worked in that industry for years. I was always in the clubbing scene, always partying, always going out. So naturally I had a lot of girls that I was close with. Then I went to nursing school at the beginning of 2016. It was so hard and I had no time. I had to get rid of a lot of the things in my life at that time. No more partying, no more hanging out. It sucks, but I had to prioritize studying. And I know that a lot of people got mad at me and they felt like they weren't important anymore. But at that point, I felt like I had to do what I had to do because failing nursing school was not an option for me. So I cut everything out and I did lose a lot of friends at that point. And that might be a thing that's happening to you. Maybe you're pursuing goals, or maybe you're doing things and you can't hang out. Maybe you start a new family and you have to prioritize your family. Maybe you are starting a business. That's work. And you don't have time to be hanging out and doing the same things you used to do. And on the note of people drifting away, also includes people moving away. I have a really good friend who moved to California and we sort of lost touch. One of my best friends moved back to Ukraine. Yes, you heard me right. Back to Ukraine. Another reason why I don't have friends right now is because I have intentionally removed people from my life. Somebody once told me, if you don't have friends, it's a red flag. So guess what I was doing? Hanging on to friends that I don't like, just so I wouldn't be a red flag, just so I wouldn't say that I don't have friends. That's not really a good or healthy situation either, right? And as hard as it was, you give people chances over and over and over, but how many times are you gonna let someone burn you? I'm not saying you should cut people off, okay? But as far as close friends who are calling you every day, I'm a big believer in protecting your space, protecting your energy, and not being around negativity or toxic people. People are going to have problems and they're going to come to you, and you can be a support system for people and a source of strength. That is completely normal, completely okay. However, if every single time we get together, it's negative or it's drama. I had a friend, and one of the main things that did it for me, she was dating a guy for 3 years, okay? In a relationship with this man for 3 years. And she's like, oh, I don't like him, like he's not that attractive, he's ugly, but his cousin is cute and sexy and younger. This girl calls me. She wants to know how to break up with her man so she could date his cousin. I'm not even kidding you. And I was like, what? This is not a conversation that, we don't have the same values. And the people that's in her life and the decisions that she makes, I don't agree with. So I just distance myself. It's not necessarily a red flag that you don't have friends. You could just not want to be around the people that you used to be with anymore. The thing about not having friends, though, is that if it does turn into a long-term situation, it can end up being really bad. As humans, we do need social connections, we do need social bonds, and we definitely need a support system. As I was preparing for this video, I was reading about social isolation, and it turns out that it increases your chances of dementia by 50%, stroke by 32%, and heart disease by 29%. And that's very dangerous and very scary. Okay, let's talk about action steps. What can we do right now to get through this phase? I'll share with you 2 things I'm doing right now, one thing that I plan on incorporating later. The first thing that I'm doing right now is I found something new to work on, and I'm gonna try to master it as much as I can. To me, this is sort of a distraction-free period that I'm going through. That's how I look at it. I look at it like a game. I have the next few months, no distractions, meaning that there's no one calling me to hang out. I don't have to do this obligation or that obligation. There's no one calling me to spend hours on the phone or anything like that. So right now is a perfect time to either learn something or start something or pick something up that you wanted to do. For me, I just started this YouTube channel and I'm just looking at it like this is a time for me to build my business. This is time for me to go hard and grow and learn as much as I can. And for you, what does that mean? Is there something that you've always wanted to do? Like, let's say I wanted to learn to be a really good cook. If I could afford it, I would take an actual class. If I couldn't or if I didn't want to spend the money, I would still treat it like a class. I would get a notebook. I always get a notebook for everything that I'm starting or learning. And I would, let's say, set aside 3 hours a day, every day or every other day. And I would sit down, I would learn, I would watch a bunch of YouTube videos, read a bunch on it, study, write notes. In the next 4, 5, 6 months, I'd master it. Do you want to get back in shape? Treat it like a class. Get a notebook, sit down 3, 4 hours a day, not even really in the gym, just learning about food and educating yourself about biology and how all these things work. That's what I would do with my time. Really just treat it like a distraction-free period where you can get a lot of things done. The second thing that I'm doing is really looking at why. Why am I in a situation where I don't have close friends or close bonds or close relationships? But not to be sad about it, but to figure out what's the cause of it and what effect is it having on me. And I don't mean looking at why as in it's society and younger people nowadays. We have all this technology and we're disconnected and our attention span is short. There's some truth to that, but I think we should look internally and not blame others. Whenever something's going on, yes, I look outside, but I also like to look at me, like what's my role in it? How can I be better? So that's what I'm encouraging you to do. I know for me, I think that my main reason is that I don't really know how to build those deep bonds that people have. I don't really know how to maintain those deep connections. Most of my friendships are surface levels. And maybe that's why they don't last. And this isn't me blaming myself. I've come to this conclusion because it sounds really strange, but I sort of raised myself. It was my mom, my sister, and I. And my mom, her job was to work in another person's home, so it required living with them. So she lived in a big city, and it was just my sister and I. Now, my sister's 10 years older than me. So when I'm 8, she's 18. So she's out with her boyfriend, with her friends. I don't blame her or anything like that. I just always remember being alone and going to bed alone. And I moved to United States to live with my dad in middle school. And my dad, he worked these long hours. He would leave at 5 a.m. in the morning and come home at like 10, 11 p.m. I'm not even making this up. Is he working this whole time? I don't know. But I just remember being alone a lot. And I think that had something to do with it. I sort of learned how to just be by myself. Truly, deep down inside me as a person, I don't know how to really connect deep. I don't know how to have conflict and then the next day tell someone you love them. You know how siblings, they'll fight and then the parents will make them make up in a corner or whatever? I never had that. Again, it's not an excuse, but it's just something that doesn't come naturally to me. I think this is the root cause. So the effect is that I don't know how to build those bonds. I don't have the skills to build deep relationships. That's probably why I don't have friends. What's your why? It could be that you moved around a lot and wasn't able to form any solid friendships, or you just moved to a new city and you don't know anyone, or maybe someone hurt you really bad and now you don't trust people easily, or maybe you were bullied, which lowered your confidence. There are many reasons, but it's good to figure out why so that you can work on it in your own time. Now that I have this information, I can work on building the skills. So that's what I'm going to do. How does this make you feel? Does it make you sad? Does it make you angry? Is it frustrating? Are you content? Is it a relief to not have anyone around? The third thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to someone. Worst case scenario, at least you get all this stuff off your chest, which I think is very, very important. Just let it out. Speak to someone who will listen to you, who won't judge you. being alone and being by yourself, yeah, we might play it off like it's cool, but it can ultimately affect your mental health, and we have to protect ourselves. So I recommend getting ahead of it before it gets there. You might already be in that space where you're sad, or you might not. By the way, there's one thing that I do that helps me so much, and it's giving. There's just something about it that makes me feel so happy on the inside. I'm making a video coming up about how I give and creative ways to give, and even when you don't have a lot of money. So subscribe, and that video will be coming up soon.